Okay, so this is the Lost Fortune lab. Picking up, this is part two. I want you to set this up on the Microsoft Visual Studio 2013. Now, I'm going to toggle back and forth. I'm going to post this up here as part of the exercise with it. So I'm not picking this up. I just want you to practice this. This is for the online, like I said, I want you to practice for you guys with it. So please read through me on this thing with this. This is the output that you should have. This is what I'm looking for. Welcome to the Lost Fortune. Okay, so this is what the output should look like. Note that it states welcome to the Lost Fortune. There's an empty blank line. Please enter the following for your personalized adventure. Enter the number. So you prompt the user for information. They type this in. You need to read this information in. Prompt the user for the second information. They type in the number 5. You prompt the user for a name. They type in the name. And it's like a Mad Lib story. All right. So in the story, you will have to do an output of this by reading in the variable and outputting the variable to the screen. All right. So you in essence you are hard coding this. In essence, this is what you're doing. This is what's hard coding. So we're just practicing. I mean, this entire lab is just nonsense with it if you really think about it. So you create a look at this int as a data. I gave it away. It's an int data type. As a 12 as an int stands for integer. And the 5 is also an integer. It's not a float or a double or a short or a long or nothing like that. It is just a simple int as a data type with it. And Dawson is a string, so requires you to use a library file that is a string library file in C++. So the first paragraph I'm going to have you do, and we're going to actually do some of this together. So just bear with me in a moment with it. So just keeping this in mind, I'm going to post this as well with it. You don't have to like I said, just follow along with me. I want to toggle back and forth in this thing. So in here, in this first section, I would need for you to do is in every code with it, you're going to have to actually need to initialize and declare your variables here. Okay. So in this particular section, like I said, we know we have to use another data type that's called string. So we need to use #include string. And my IntelliSense kicks in as I type in string. It's this one. Click on it. It closes it out with it. So those are the two data types that we need to look at. The other piece that we need to look at is if you come down to the data type that I would like for you to declare, there are a couple of things when you look at the storyline in this thing, is that there's some constants. There's 900 pieces, 900 gold pieces. So I'm going to use that as a constant on this as well. So if you look at here, in constants are numbers that don't change. You start with a reserved word called const with it, and you do int, and gold I'm going to uppercase as identifier. Remember now what identifiers. Identifiers are three things. There are variables, constants, and functions. Anytime when I say identifier means there are variables, constants, and functions. This is a constant, so it is an identifier. When I do a constant in programming, whether it's in Java or C++, the best practice is to have it uppercase. So we do an equal sign, 900. All right. Remember now that one equal sign. This means what? The right side equals the left side. The right side, it's 900, is now assigned to this memory of it's a constant called go pieces. The next one I'm going to do is adventure. This is you make up this variable names. It's like X, Y, Z, but you don't have to call it X, Y, Z. You call it identifier as a variable because it allows you to identify something very trivial name with us. We need to give it a number of adventurers, killed, and survivors. Now, I can call this thing int adventurer, semicolon, int killed, semicolon, int survivor, semicolon. I can do it 3 lines, or I could do it 1 line separated by comma and a space. The next one is the data type is called string. And leader is what's prompted as what you saw was Dawson. So this is where you initialize and you declare all the allocate memory at this time right now. Now we need to get the information. Get the information from the user. So take a look at this. We do cout. We prompt the user for a string. So welcome, if you remember on that. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to have that document side by side so we could see what I am doing. So we need to do welcome to Lost Fortune here. So inside of this thing, let me bump this on the left hand side so we can have it side by side. So welcome to Lost Fortune. Okay, and that needs to take down to the next line in this thing. So how do I get to the next line? Well, there are a couple of ways. You can do NCNL, or I'm going to show you another ways as an ASCII values \n \n. So if you did N line, it takes you to the next line, and N line again will take you to the next line again with it. Again, we have to end every statement with a semicolon so the compiler knows this is the end of your statement with it. The next line I want to come down is I need to start with please enter cout. So please, in a string, please enter the following for your personalized adventure. Okay, so let me maximize this. So you can see that I did this over here with it, and I'm going to have to take that down to the next line in this thing, as well as an ASCII \n, and then I do a semicolon. You realize I can do this, or if I didn't do this, I could do this, and then have, if I need to use N line with it. So either way, we'll take it down to the next line. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So whatever is convenient for you. But just to give you some options, that's what we're doing. You notice there is also, if you look at this, if you look at this line right here, it says it continue to prompt to use enter a number, right? So let me come down here and continue with that. I'm going to do cout, prompting the user enter a number in this thing, colon and a space. And I need to, after I enter a number, I want that cursor to be blinking right here, right there, after in front of that, after that space. So that's why I have a space right there. The user would type in a number at this time. I need to read that in. So I will need to use a command called cin to read it, and I use this command, this greater than sign, which is the reverse of lesser than sign. This is a cin. This is an insertion into a memory. Guess what memory I'm going to store this thing in? You allocate 4 memories up here. Remember that? 1, 2, 3, 4. Adventure. This is the first one we're going to prompt to read in. So the moment I start to type adventurer, look at this. It has my memory in there already. Okay, so I read that in as my adventure that I store that into the adventures with it as well. So I store that in. Now, just to keep our code readability with this thing, all this again has to be in our int main before I return 0, as you can see with what I have. Let's prompt the next user. Cout. We need to read in what? Enter a number. So it's the same thing as this. So why don't I just snag this line right here? And I'm going to come down here and I'm going to paste it right here. So it saves me some time with that as well. I need to enter a number this time. And this number I'm going to enter is what? Smaller than the first. All right. Again, I'm prompting the user. This time I am, instead of the adventure, I'm not going to prompt in. I need to put in the number for killed in here. So this is where it needs to store is the killed. Alright, so you get 2 numbers. If you see how it's highlighted, the spelling has to match. C++ is case sensitive. So please follow that with it. So I have the second one. Now, you got adventure, you got killed, you got survivor. We need to figure out the survivor. Of course, the survivor is calculated with what? The survivor is calculated with the way how you can take the number of adventure, subtract at the number of killed, right? So I'm going to write this from the right side as what we're looking at, adventurer, right? So here's my adventure. Take that number is greater than the first number. The second number is the killed. Now, if you look at the way how I wrote this, I intentionally wrote this right side is going to equal the left side is the survivor, okay, for you to see. So here's the right side. the math, it's going to store that to the left side, is the survivor. That's what this equal sign means. This is a very important concept in programming. We do this is to update later on. We will update the current value, what's inside the memory of the survivor with this thing. The next part, we need to get this information out to the screen with this thing. So, oh, one more. We got to prompt the user for their name, right? So why don't I do that? I want to do that right here. So enter your last name right here and prompt the user for that. So let me do that. All right. So we need another statement like this. Okay, very similar to that. So I am going to modify this thing. So enter your last name. Enter your last name. So you prompt the user, guess what this is going to be right in here. Instead of enter your name, you're going to store that in leader, right? That's the leader part with this. Let me check the time on this thing before I don't go overboard. I did.